Hey everyone, this is Jim Prusak. I'm a physical therapist at the Pain PT. And today we're going to talk about check your tire pressure. Check your tire pressure. What am I talking about? Well, I'm not talking about a tire on a bike or tire in a car. I'm talking about you. We want to check our internal pressure. Okay, we're going to talk about pressure today, checking your tire pressure. Are you under too much pressure? Okay, or you do not have enough pressure in your system. Either one of those things, as you know, having a flat tire or having too much pressure in a tire can be problems. So let's first talk about too much pressure, which is the more common one for people, is that they're overinflated with pressure. Now, pressure comes from two things mainly for yourself. One is internal pressure, and the other is external pressure. Now, internal pressure is something you put on yourself. Okay, it's pumping up your own tire, blowing yourself up by putting pressure on yourself. Now, in what ways can you do this? Can you inflate your pressure to it's too much? Well, thinking you can do more, taking on more than you can, over responsibility, trying to make things perfect, trying to get everything done, trying to do it in a particular way, making sure it's exactly right. So anytime you put pressure on yourself, pressure to do more, pressure to succeed. Okay, when we're talking about not normal pressure, right? Because we need some pressure in a tire for the car to go and for the bike to go. So we need some pressure to be successful, but we're talking about overpressure, talking about too much pressure, too hard on yourself, too driving yourself too hard, too critical, too much, okay, too much pressure. So you want to think about for you, what are the ways that if you're doing this, that you create too much internal pressure in yourself, blowing yourself up with pressure, which then is blowing yourself up with symptoms potentially. So then you have external pressure. External pressure is what's coming in from the outside, not produced by our brains necessarily, but the external pressures of life. Okay, a family, responsibilities, work, um, things like that that can come in at different points in time. So we have external pressure that can come in and create pressure internally. We have internal pressure, which is a really big driver for a lot of people that can create pressure. You can have both. And a lot of times it is both at the same time. Okay, so we can really have an overinflated, overpressurized system, which then leads to physical symptoms. So in those cases, you want to reduce your pressure. So you want to reduce the internal pressure by learning and recognizing and catching yourself doing that and learning to stop doing these things, letting things go, not putting so much pressure on you to be perfect, to get it right, overdo, people please, all these things that we do that end up hurting ourselves. And then externally, yeah, we've got to look to make some changes in our external environment for what we can do. How can we change certain things that will create less pressure coming inward? Maybe it's also standing up for ourselves. So if somebody is berating you or putting pressure on you to do something and you don't like it, that you put a stop to it. You become assertive, you say no. That may be a way to stop the pressure. And sometimes we have to just accept certain things in the external world that are putting pressure on us and let those things go. So we learn to change how we deal with external pressures. Okay, so there's a combination of things you can do here, all in the direction of reducing pressure. Okay, reducing your tire pressure internally. You want optimal pressure. Like if you put a pressure gauge on your tire and you go, oh, shoot, I'm running a little low, a little flat, I need some more air. Or, ooh, I've got too much pressure. Shh, let's let some air out of this tire. And in the same way, you can think of your own system. Okay, so in the opposite way, too low pressure, not enough tire pressure, not enough internal, the pressure is deflated. You feel deflated. You feel down. No energy. You just, ooh. Okay. And in that case, we need to add some pressure. We need to add some energy to the system. Let's go. Come on. Let's get fired up. Let's put some pressure in. Let's go. Let's challenge. Let's confront. Let's do more. Okay. Let's get going. Okay. So we want to add some pressure on ourselves to do something. Let's go. Challenge yourself. Okay. That's adding some pressure. Confront something, that's adding some pressure that maybe you need to do. Do something you're afraid to do. Get up off the sofa. Okay, so sometimes we have to inflate ourselves if we're completely deflated, okay, to get going, to add some more pressure to the system. And we're trying to balance this thing back and forth because if you think about it, if you put a ton of pressure on yourself for a period of time, or someone else is putting pressure on you and it builds, your tire could pop and you can go down to being deflated over here. And that's the same thing as feeling depressed, frozen, just kind of, there's nothing here. Okay, feeling very down. There's not much energy in the system. So it can lead, one thing can lead to the other. And so in both ways, you want to be careful and noticing and monitoring and being mindful of our own systems and the pressure that's there. Okay, and looking for that optimal pressure where there is some pressure, right? And we can handle it and it pushes us forward. It gives us energy and gives us motivation. But again, too much pressure, too little pressure, both those things will be a problem for you. And both those things are not going to make you feel good. Okay, so just do a little check-in for yourself daily. Notice these things we talked about today. You can make some changes in them. And I think it's a nice way to look at your system like a tire and the tire pressure that you have in it. Either deflate the pressure a little bit or inflate the pressure a little bit, depending where you're at. Okay, guys, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch up with you next time.